G'day legends, Blake here with another video, and today I'm really blessed to be in Brett's fish room. Brett, thanks for having us.
Pleasure to have you, mate.
Brett's the president of the Aquarium Society of Victoria, so he has a huge wealth of knowledge and a really diverse fish room. So strap in and get ready for this one. I think it's going to be really fun. All right, Brett, so there's so many unique species in here. Maybe to get started, how would you describe yourself as a fish keeper? It's a pretty tough one off the top.
As a fish keeper, I'm a collector. I think I get influenced by a lot of other people in the hobby as well. So if it's new to the hobby or if it's new in the country, I want it. You know, it's a Pokemon catch-em-all situation. But I'm starting to transition now. I'm realizing that you can't keep them all to the best of your ability with so many tanks. And not that there's a lot in here. I know people with far bigger fish rooms, but I'm now focusing down on breeding some of those rarer varieties and getting them out into the hobby a little bit better than what I have been in the past.
Yeah, for sure. How long have you been keeping fish for?
My life. Yeah, it's been my whole life. You know, from helping out in an aquarium, local aquarium as a kid. Always had tanks in the house. From goldfish bowl on the table as a kid to now, and this is what's become of it. You know, my hobby's extended into my backyard, and it's really taken over. And obviously, as the president of the Aquarium Society, it fulfills quite a void in my life at the moment. So it's good. It's a great hobby. It's a zen hobby. Yeah,
absolutely. And the uniqueness of your fish room starts even before we look at any fish really quickly, because I don't know of any other fish room I've ever been in that's had a wood fire heating system. So really, really cool. I like it. Yeah. It's nice and toasty here while we're standing here having a chat.
Yeah, it's I suppose out of necessity and as such, this used to be a workshop for me with tools and workbenches, everything. So it was a good way to keep warm. But up here in the foothills of the Dandenong Ranges in Melbourne, it gets very cold, and we have a lot of power outages. So in theory, it's a free source of wood, free source of heat, and I can keep the fish room to a temperature that's reasonable. I can open doors and reduce it, but yeah, it's good. It's like I say, electricity use in a fish room, it's quite high.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I reckon they've been teased long enough. Let's show them some fish. Where should we get started?
I don't know. Where would you like to start?
Well, you are a big member of Killifish Australia.
Yep.
So I think you've got some really cool killies we were talking about earlier. Maybe those substrate divers.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go there. All right. So this is Hypsilobius filamentus. As you said, they're a peat diving killifish. They dive down into, I say peat, that's coir peat, coir fibres. To spawn, the male will attract the female in. The males are extremely brightly coloured and the females are grey fish. And they'll attract the female in and dive down into the peat. And that's for the purposes of their longevity, so to speak, in the countries they come from, being Africa. During the summer, the substrate that they've spawned in dries out. Wait for the wet season. The eggs can stay in what's called diapause. They'll hold for a long time, just in the moisture of the soil. And when the first rains come, they'll hatch and emerge and start the process again.
Yeah, awesome. So how do we so let's just say they just dive in there right now. You take that entire container out and dry it out, or?
Yeah, correct. You can use, what I use is a large brine shrimp net. So I'll tip the peat through that net, capture that peat. You literally wring it out like a sponge.
Yeah, okay.
And then you just sift through the peat. Ensure you've got eggs. I'm not super intense about it. A lot of people will go through and count out eggs and make sure they've got enough. If you were buying them, if you were buying killifish eggs from another breeder, they'd literally count out 30 eggs for you and send you that little bag of peat and the eggs. But for me, just to keep the species going in my own fish room, I'll just make sure there's 1 or 2 in there and then bag it up and keep it humid. And that particular species of fish, their diapause period is about 6 to 8 months. Wow. So you hold on to that peat moss for that amount of time in the hope that at the back end of it, everything's gone okay. And when you first put the peat into the water, you'll get some hatchlings.
Wow.
Fry.
So 6 to 8 months keeping them in a basically a Ziploc bag or a container.
Yeah.
And then how long do they live for when they do hatch out, if you have success?
The annuals up in the wild, they're like literally an annual, so they're lucky to live for that season. But in captivity, you can get maybe 2 to 3 years out of them. If you're really lucky, they start to struggle with, like an old person. They get aches and bent backs and all that sort of stuff. But these guys have been going for over 12 months now, and they're still spawning. It's more as they get older in their age, they slow right down and probably stop. So you can keep them for a lot longer, but just gorgeous coloration. We don't get anything like it, in fresh water, apart from some of the wild bettas and things that have got that iridescence. So, yeah.
And pretty cool that it's a lot easier to ship eggs around to people and spread the species around.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than bags of fish, I guess.
Yeah, and we're fortunate in Killifish Australia. There's a Facebook page for that. If you do reach out, the eggs can be shipped. Just an express bag. You don't have to worry about the cold, the heat, whatever. You can ship off your bag of eggs and do the swapping that way. Obviously, some of the biosecurity laws you can't ship eggs or plants into WA or anywhere like that. So it's or Tasmania. So, and for fair reason, they've got similar water parameters, so you don't want to be doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, of course. I guess while we're here, you're also, as well as a killifish guy, you're a big Corydoras and wild betta guy, and you've got probably more than most people will see in their lifetime here behind us. I think so anyway.
Yeah, like I said, it's a catch-em-all scenario. If I see one that I haven't got, I try to find a tank for it. I think there's about 26 species of Cory, and we'll round it up because obviously the name changes have all come in, and Aspergillus, scleromastics, all that sort of hopeless. They're all here. I still call them Corys because it's habit.
Yeah.
But there's probably about 26 species in the fish room at the moment. I'm breeding some and struggling with others.
Yeah, I think that's bound to happen, right?
Yeah.
But some really interesting species as well. Which ones have been sort of the most prolific, and contrasting, which ones have been the difficult nuts to crack? Yeah,
for me, the Napoensis have been really prolific. They'll spawn vast numbers of eggs, and I know, we've got some footage of them a little bit earlier with the fry that I've got in the fish room. I'd have 200-300 fry just swimming around in here. Of Napoensis. Some of the others are, a little bit slower, like the Duplicarius. They'll spawn really large eggs, so that for that reason they only spawn. Maybe out of a group of 10 fish, I might only get 10 eggs.
Yeah, okay.
But the ones that I really would like to crack, and I need to get some more of, would be the red lasers. Strangely enough, Aeneas, the gold laser, is a fish that I've watched other people on different, YouTube channels, and I like spawning like crazy. I just can't crack that egg. So that's one that I have to focus on, because I think it's a beautiful fish that we need more of in the hobby. Yeah, but always on the lookout for another one,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then moving on to bettas, all these beautiful tea-coloured aquariums here at the top. What are some of your favourite wild bettas that you've got at the moment?
Yeah, I think I'm liking the, again, they're very reclusive. We've got Betta Appy up there. I've been breeding and spawning that for a good couple of years now, and just keeping it going in my fish room. And I think even yourself, you probably were mentioning you wouldn't mind getting some, so I'll have to reinvigorate the breeding stock. But so Betta Appy, I've got Betta Hendra here. They've been spawning and doing really well. So I think I like those reclusive fish. The fish that when you're looking into a fish tank, you don't see it until you see it, and when you do see it, it's the focus of your attention. You're just mesmerised by this little bright red creature that's come out of some dry leaves in the bottom of a tank. That more that Kachina sort of species, the smaller ones, is what I focused on, and obviously they're in Kmart tanks. So got to be mindful of everything going on in there, but the conditions suit them.
I think you're definitely pulling that off. As we've been going around getting some footage and all that, you've seen me a few times looking around, and then you just point out a fish, and I'm like, oh, there's actually heaps of them in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they'll literally, I suppose that's their environment they come from in the wild. They're in the the creek beds or very low, shallow environments where they have to hide because, you know, being a bright red fish, you'd think it'd be easy prey for a bird. So,
yeah.
you know, that's just in their DNA makeup probably. That's their avoidance and whatever. But when they come out and they're flaring to females to spawn and things, it's just gorgeous fish.
While we're on a roll, speaking about breeding and spawning, just behind us, just in front of me, you've got some royal whiptails on eggs here.
Yeah, that's very fortunately, I had a couple of large males and another member of ASV, the Aquarium Society of Victoria. He, being Andrew, I'll drop his name.
Yeah.
Bless him. He had some large females that he gave to me. And since that time, I've been extremely fortunate that and doing really well with spawning the royal whiptails to the point where now I've got it down to an art that I don't have to remove the eggs from the main tank, and the fry are just growing up with the parents.
Certainly makes life a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, you're doing really well with them. It's cool to see. Another species that's, you know, you don't see it every day.
Yeah. And look, as a kid going to the aquariums, you know, that is one awesome looking fish.
Yeah,
you know, and you'd see it in there, and they're quite expensive. You know, so it's not the sort of fish that the average, you know, community fish tank keeper would put into their tank.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, raising quite a few up and I can get them out into the aquariums, it'll sort of get the price down and a few more people can enjoy just a wondrous looking fish.
A few people have issues with first foods and stuff like that. Have you experienced that?
So Andrew advised me about that issue. So for me, I'm massive on biofilm. Like I'll collect, as you've seen in a lot of the tanks, you know, hardwood leaves and things like that and put them into the aquarium. And in that tank in particular, I use what's, I'm not sure of the scientific name for it, but bulrush. It's the reeds that grow along the sides of your rivers and creeks. And I'll cut them when they're in their dry season, cut them off. And I've fortunately got my own supply out there in a pond. Yeah. I'll cut them off and then tie them together and put them into the tank. So as they're rotting away, it's a nice long flat surface area that the fry can eat off and give that a run.
Yeah, perfect. That's a really good tip for people starting out. So, and you know, I'm always an advocate for biological material in there, leaves and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you've got heaps of it going on in here for sure.
Yeah,
and you've got so many unique species of leaves and stuff. At the last club meeting, you graciously gave me a box of really cool looking, you know, leaves and whatnot.
Yeah,
so I've been playing around with those. Pretty lucky.
As long as the leaf that you're choosing, you know, it's not a big fleshy, thick leaf that's going to continue to rot and I'd not say not continue to rot, but cause you issues, because if it's still decaying and drying off, it'll release, like, do a nitrogen jump on your tank and really throw everything out. So make sure your leaves are dry and from a hardwood plant.
Yeah, good call. You want to mention the Red Devils?
Oh, we can do. I've been up there for third spawn now, but still no joy. I was trying to raise them, do them as a natural parent pair, but they haven't had such luck. They ate their last spawn. May happen with time, but I have told them that the next time they spawn, I'm going to take their eggs from them and hopefully raise them wild, because again, just they're a really nice pairing and really deep red in their coloration. They're quite hard to find with a nice red colour here.
Another thing that comes to mind while we're over here, you got the brine shrimp hatcheries on the go. You're feeding baby brine every day?
Every day, sometimes twice a day, depending on what's going on in the room. Obviously it's a must, I think, you know, just to keep the fish invigorated in their little environments too, you know, so that they can just pick them off as they go, but more so for the fry, you know, if they're doing their little dance on the bottom of the tank, the Corys love them, everything loves them. Yeah,
and we were having a bit of a debate yesterday about live foods, weren't we? And I think a lot of your species, in particular, like Bettas, Corys, they're kind of ones that are going to enjoy foraging, enjoy that behaviour.
Definitely,
so, I think that's quite invigorating for them too. So
yeah, and that's the importance, I suppose. You know, it is only a very small food, but you think of a baby brine shrimp nestling down in a crevice in the sand.
Yeah,
that's the Cory would be looking for that in its wild environment. So it's going to pick it out.
Very good. Well,
Yeah.
we'll keep moving around while we're on the roll. You've got another sort of wild betta corner over here.
Yeah, my hot corner, I call it. Again, betta api. There is Palafina in there, which isn't a hot water species of betta, but it's found a home in there temporarily to live until I get another tank sorted out. But pretty much that's my betta api, betta rubric corner. So I'll spawn a lot of them in there, and I keep multiple tanks so that I don't lose the species, and I'll try and spawn them across those tanks. Just to keep them going. There's another one's betta dimidiata, which is a bit harder to find here in Australia. I've spawned quite a lot of those, and they're just about to go out. Betta chinoides, and there's some up in the top there. They're betta compunctiferae.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, from another large betta species. So
I'm wondering, with such a appetite for unique fish, like how do you actually source them all?
yeah,
all over
I
the
think
place,
it's keeping an eye on the websites.
Yeah.
You know, we are fortunate that there are some importers that are willing to take a risk.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a lot of them are up north. Seven Fishes is one, especially for the wild betta strains and species. So he's Trevor is, I believe, his name. He's able to get in some good stuff, and he's willing to take the risk. You know, he's got some suppliers out of Malaysia or Indonesia or somewhere like that get the fish. So it's just a case of keeping your finger on the pulse and constantly scrolling through lists and letting the local fish stores know that you're interested in that type of thing. And if, you know, here's my phone number, give me a call if you get anything strange. And I'm fortunate that New Life in Keysborough and Will and John are there, and Ewan at Hallam, the fish shop. They'll do that, you know, if they know that something's coming in, they'll let me know. So it's a non-annual killifish. It's called Fundulopanchax deltaense. They actually get up to 8 centimetres long.
Yeah,
so it's one of the larger of the non-annuals. But yeah, I know that Aquarium Industries tried to bring in 100 from West Africa, and by the time they arrived in Australia through disease or just shipping issues, I think they only probably got 20 in the country. So fortunately, I managed to purchase 4. I lost 2 initial just through disease, I think just residual of what they had. And I've got 2 left, which is, let's cross my fingers, they are a male and a female, but I just hopefully get something out of them. So yeah, we can share them around. And I'll increase my batch first, and then share them where I can. Yeah,
definitely wishing good luck with that. So Fundulopanchax, that's the same kind of family as like a Gunrai and all that.
Yeah, so So depending on it's Aphiosimian or Fundulopanchax, it depends on the naming convention. Yeah, so yes, very, very similar to that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they sort of have that face to them.
Yeah, non-annuals. Same as I've got, you know, some rows of tanks over here. They're all killifish as well. You know, geez, I could run all the names off, but you know, some of the more common ones that are in the hobby and some not. Pretty much all out of Africa.
Yeah,
okay. But it's that collector fish again. You know, so that if you're into killifish, you're trying to keep them all. And fortunately, they are a fish that you can keep in a smaller tank. Make sure you get a lid.
Yeah.
But they you want to make sure that parameters are right for them. They're soft water, low TDS kind of fish, you know, which suits me in my keeping. You know, I use a lot of rainwater for my fish room. So and just an interesting breeding habit. You know, you find yourself picking through mops of it, you know, and taking eggs out and hatching them and raising them and increasing your colonies or sharing them on. It's just a good one. Yeah,
I guess that's a bit of a trend as well. So we've so far, you know, very early on into this piece, we've seen substrate diving spawners, we've seen spawners on the glass, we've seen spawning mop breeders, and then just behind me as well is we've got mouthbrooding as well. One of your favorites, I know. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah, betta macrostoma is what you're looking at now. They are mouth-brooding betta. We saw another one around the corner there, which was Palafina and the compunctiferae. But betta macrostoma, kind of my holy grail fish. I just haven't been able to have them hold. The male needs to hold the eggs for 14 days at a minimum, and he'll release when the fry are ready to swim. I haven't been able to get them to hold to completion yet. I've tried all sorts of things. I know overseas that they'll actually catch the male and strip the eggs out like a cichlid.
Yeah, okay.
And then raise the eggs in a bubbler, which is my next port of call, because I don't. Again, it's a fish that there's not many of in the hobby, and if you mention it, you know, in a room full of hobbyists, they'd all like some. You know, it's a crazy looking fish. They're illegal to catch on the Brunei side anyway, of where they're naturally found. If you actually caught in Brunei catching them, I think the Sultan of Brunei takes your hands.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so yeah, they're really well revered over there for their rarity. But yeah, all of these here are mouth brooders, the Compuncta, Unimaculata, Ocellata. You know, again, if it wasn't for the importers taking a chance, we wouldn't have them here. So it's finding hobbyists that are willing to devote a little bit of their space in their fish room to keeping them going. There's very few of them around. So that's why it's important to let everybody know what you do keep. And that's part of the reason why I'm happy to have like yourself here, you know, like if you've got it and you want to share it or increase the chances of getting it, you know, reach out to your local fish clubs and let them know what you've got. And, you know, you're happy to breed and share. It's very important.
This rack as well shows the variety as well. Like with bettas, with wild bettas, it's not only a variety in color, but also in size. Like these are so massive.
Yeah, they're a big fish. Yeah. They're like 10 to 12, 13 centimeters, you know, as opposed to the 2 to 3 centimeter appy around the corner, you know. Yeah,
they're really, you know, for people who haven't had the exposure to wild bettas, that they're really not that sort of, you know, long fin fish that you can put in a little cup or whatever. And
for these guys, the bigger species, they're actually really personable. They'll, you know, they'll take food from your hand. You know, if I was to try and put some blackworms in the top, as you can see, you know, there's many a time that I've had food in my hand and they've launched out of the tank and be hanging off the food in my fingers, you know. So, yeah, quite personable, fantastic fish. That's why I keep them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
While I'm thinking about it, how do water changes work in here?
Manually at this point. Yeah. So for this rack, it's a manual thing. So a lot of the fish, because they're quite a, you know, acidic pH, they don't need a lot of water change. You know, if I'm using rainwater when I do my water changes, so the TDS starts really low anyway. There's a lot of organic matter in there to keep the water soft. And I suppose with experience, you know if the tank's looking wrong or you need to, you know, you're in the fish room every day. You know, if you've got one, you need to be in there every day to maintain it. And, you know, I'll know just looking at the fish if something's wrong and, you know, I'll have to check it. So, but yeah, this rack and a lot of my species only tanks are manual because, you know, of difference in water parameters. But things like the Cory rack and the fish tanks behind you, like they're all like dilution. Done by dilution.
Yeah, so, nice.
Yeah.
These kind of displays here, again, bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. The top tank that you're looking at right now, it's Mbuna cichlids. They're actually all in hiding, so hopefully I've had some spawning going on. But they are a colony of fish that I got from a friend who was shutting down his tank, and I couldn't see him just take them back to the aquarium, so I said I'd take them on, and that's that tank. So, but the others are that's a catch-em-all tank, the middle one. You know, it's a bit of a community aquarium for the fish that, you know, there's Melitania lacustris in there and some Bosemani and a few different tetra species, a crebensis, albino crebensis. Yeah, it's just a catch-em-all because, you know, you need one of those tanks sometimes because, like the albino crebensis, I lost the female, you know, and I don't want to take up a whole tank if I could probably spawn something else and he can live out his life in there until I find another albino female. So, you know, And then the bottom tank is one of the largest species of bettas, which is betta pugnax. They're out of Thailand, I believe, off the top of my head. Again, just a big species of betta. And yeah, I think just when you walk in through the door here at the front, it's just a good series of 3 tanks to take the interest. People just walk in and they're surprised at what they're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly was. So.
Yeah. So yeah, this series of, I suppose, rack are mostly 2 foot high tank, 2 foot tall tanks. I'm trying to keep them species only and grow outs. My intention for them now, as the transition, I think I was saying to you earlier, just off the camera, was that I'm going to turn them into species only sort of little biotopes for some of the rarer fish that I am keeping, and I'm starting to slowly work my way through. They were intended to be grow out, but being the collector I am, it hasn't worked out that way. Yeah. So, but they're, as we were just talking about, you know, water change by dilution just through micro drippers, rainwater, just, you know, I think it's only every 3rd day it comes on. It probably only replaces 5 litres at max. These are 4 litres an hour drippers, so I'd say it'd be about 5 litres. But again, you know, you just try and maintain them, and there's not too many fish. This tank, just for me looking, is a little bit cloudy, so I know it's probably needs a more water change quickly, because it's just a little bit loaded up with fish that I'm actually selling and moving on, so they won't be in there for long. Yeah.
Still a whole bunch of unique species in here, particularly like these blue Bettas. They're something I've never seen them in person before, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So the Darios and the Bettas there, little egg scattering sort of labyrinth style fish. My kind of guys, you know. The blue Bettas actually came from Matt's Lintonbrook, who's Blackwater Aquariums is up north in Sydney. He came down and did a talk for ASV 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago now. And yeah, he was good enough when I reached out to sell me some of his fish, and he shipped them down, and I'm hoping I've got a female in there. They look very much all like males. They're very colourful. So I'll have to reach back out to him and see if I can get some more shipped down, but I don't think that'll be a problem knowing Matt's.
Also, you've also got, you know, Aussie natives here as well. So.
Yeah, I think it's a staple for pretty much every Aussie fish room, the old Luminatus. They are just a gorgeous little fish, you know, what can you say? You know, they're a mop spawner. You know, I plan on raising them up. We were in a what was it, 70-year-old fish room the other day, and he was breeding tons of Luminatus, you know, just in his very green, algae-ridden sort of, you know, planted tanks, but successful. I specifically like that type of fish. It's a
lot of colour for a small package.
And my intention is to get enough of a colony up that I can put them into my indoor tank, into my planted 6B2, and have them as a colony just flitting around in the plants. Yeah.
I'll put that over the top here now. That is a beautiful tank. You said last night you're going to rescape. I actually stayed over last night, so thanks for your hospitality there. But,
I appreciate it.
But last night you were saying you need to rescape it, and I said, why? It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's been, for aqua soil, it's been 8 years, you know, and that tank, I mean, the plants are still growing strong and everything, but as we are in the hobby, I've been looking at it for the last 8 years. Yeah. So, I feel that it's time for just a change in the hardscape and a rejig of the plants. You know, it's full of crypts and, you know, tiger lotus and all sorts of stuff that I can, you know, divide and share up a little bit too. So, you know, take them into the club and share them around. But, for a focal point in the house, it's okay.
It's great, yeah. I'm sure you'll do a great job, whatever you do with it.
Yeah.
What else have we got in here that we can talk about?
Desert gobies, maybe. That's the betta dimidiata.
Yeah, some fry there.
Yeah, so they were ones they're my fry. They're F1s from the wild fish. So they're actually at a size now that they'll probably already be breeding. So I've got to fish a couple of pairs out for myself, and I'll move some others on so that they can be shared around the hobby. But again, the males have a really impressive iridescent blue finish when they're in breeding. So, or they're showing off, or sparring with another male. So, just another grey fish that isn't so grey. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about Aspidoras a bit earlier. You've got another species there that...
Yeah, unfortunately they're in hiding. So the Aspidoras rochi that's in here, and I've got Aspidoras raymundi in this tank. They're both in a little bit of hiding. The raymundi I had a few losses with, and I don't know why. That's fish. And the rochi that are in this tank are in hiding because the Pelvichroma silva, as I pointed out earlier, have they've got a clutch of fry in there, and they're quite defensive of their babies. So I think they've hunted them into the spawning mops that are in there, and they're a little bit scared to come out. But yeah, we do. I do. I again, like I say, if I see it, I'll grab it. And hopefully we can spawn them and keep them going.
Those Pelvichroma seem to be really good parents.
Yeah, for their first spawning, I mean, there's not a whole lot of fry, but I don't know, 20 to 30 fry. And they have tended to their little babies quite well, show them where the baby brine are and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, they've grown on me quite a lot, the Pelvichromas.
Yeah, they're a nice colour. Like, obviously they're in spawning mode at the moment, but are they usually that bright yellow? Or?
Yeah, they're prior to, like, in their spawning phase, the yellow was intense.
Yeah.
That's their parenting mode, I suppose. But, yeah, they're a yellow fish, and there's another species I've got, Sacromontis, that's, a red fish.
Yeah.
So there's, they're virtually a Crebensis, but, different waters, different localities, wild fish. Again, they came from Matt's Lintonbrook. I think it's Brink. Yeah, Linton Brink. Yeah, he sent them down, and they've been great, So again, hopefully I can share them at the trading table at ASV, Yeah.
I look forward to that. I reckon you'll have a buyer. Got some shrimp as well in here.
Yeah, I fell into that trap of shrimp. I suppose, being at the club, and the people are talking about shrimp and what they've got, and they turn up at the trading table, and I mean, having an aquascapes tank early, and just cherry shrimp when they first hit the scene, so to speak, was good. And I was raising cherry shrimp just to keep my tank going, and then I didn't worry about them anymore for a while, and then all of a sudden we're red, blue, yellow, green. The collector, I had to have one of each, so that's how this has come about. This is actually supposed to be my grow out fry rack, and it turned into a chameleon shrimp, blue dreams, cherry shrimp, orange, so I'm currently just going to be offloading those now, because I've set up other tanks on behind me here to keep the ones that I want to keep, and then the rest will get farmed out, because I want to really start focusing on my breeding in this room.
Those other tanks, I reckon, are the funniest thing. Like, it just sums up keeping bulk fish, that one that you've snuck in there.
Yeah, I know. So being that this used to be a workshop, this was an open partition, and I put a door in to obviously stop the heat running out. And I thought, what a great spot for some shelves, and to hide away all that aquarium trash that we do, like what's down here on the floor. Put the live food in there, and straight away I put 3 tanks. So they're the blue dreams, some fish bones, and some orange-eyed blue tigers. They're shrimp. So, but who doesn't like a blue shrimp?
Oh, 100%,
yeah, they're just, nature's a wonderful thing,
Oh, there's no judgment from me. Anywhere there's a space, there's a tank. That's
and that's what I struggle with. We went and saw Max's Fishroom yesterday.
Yeah.
And he had Tanganyikan killifish, and I'd been hunting for them for such a long time as a killifish keeper. Yeah. And to walk into his fish room and see schools of this fish that I've been looking for forever, and he's just like, "Here, have some eggs."
Yeah,
I'm like, where am I going to put these fish? But I couldn't knock them back, so I'll find a tank. I'll make room. So yeah,
it was funny. I was sort of joking at you. Everywhere we went to 3 or 4 different places. Everywhere you'd come out with a sneaky bag or something.
Yeah, well, if you don't take opportunity, and the same here, if somebody comes here and they're keen on something, they're going to get it in their hand. That's what it's about. I suppose that's the personal side of it. You know, we can all sit at home on the couch and watch YouTube and think we're going to learn.
Yeah.
But, you know, I picked up, you know, and the group of us that were moving around yesterday on a big fish expedition, really, picked up so many little tidbits from each fish room and how they do something, or how we were sharing information. It was just flowing.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's amazing. It's made me rethink some of the things that I was intending to do. You know, Bill had those hang-on boxes.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
like just made out of a Tupperware, out of a plastic container. It was, just it expanded his fish room by quite a lot. You know.
Yeah, and like, well, in a lot of my recent uploads, you know, I've probably mentioned clubs a lot, but I said it to you before we started filming. You know, I think being a part of a community and a club, it makes everyone a better fisher. It makes everyone have better fish rooms, because you do pick up all those little tips here and there. So that's kind of why I'm really driving it home how good it is to be a part of something like that and to share with others.
Yeah, so very much. And I mean, our club in particular, you know, we're bringing international speakers. You know, I've had people from America come across, you know, Regina and Eric Bodrock, and, you know, we've had Hans Evers come over, as well as local, you know, local experts in their field, you know, like for shrimp, Connor. There's just every month there's, you know, something of value, and whether you're a shrimp keeper or you're not, there's something that person's doing in their fish room, or how they do something that you'll take away from and think, I can apply it to this. And it's just, you know, at the end of the meeting, the room's buzzing. Like people are just talking and, you know, about what they're doing, what they're breeding. And if it wasn't for that, you know, a lot of people wouldn't have knowledge of certain things. You know, you can, like I say, you can watch YouTube, and that's great. Like, you know, I'm going to start my own YouTube channel a little bit. So it's one source, but to actually hear it from the horse's mouth, as they say, makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously I've watched and made a lot of videos, but the downside with that, when you're comparing the two, is that that's one way of communication, right? Yeah. And you don't get corrected until afterwards in the comments, and then maybe you can go and research and figure it out. But in clubs, when you go see people's fish rooms, it's instant, direct feedback. It's a conversation, not just sort of what you think until you're proven differently. And like, you know, and I know that we didn't take any footage of it, but Eddie Toodle, who's one of the club members, you know, been keeping fish for over 70-something years. Yeah. And he's forgotten more than I know. Yeah. You know, so, you know, I don't profess to knowing everything, and, you know, we struggle with the Latin names and pronunciations and things like that. And we can be misled too by, you know, what we think is a certain species of fish that's been brought in may well be another thing. You know, we had a similar incident with a tetra. We're doing a breeding challenge at the club at the moment. You know, when we bought it to do this breeding challenge as the bleeding blue tetra, and it turned out to be the blueberry tetra. You know, they're actually down here. Oh, they've all gone hiding from me, but I've got some other footage of them before. But yeah, you know, there's always going to be things that we can get wrong, and just so long as you're taking on feedback and actually willing to learn, I don't think that's a problem.
Exactly. Yeah. No one's an expert, and I think that's such a nice thing with our community at the club. You know, we've got 12-year-olds or younger right through to 80-something-year-olds, you know, and everybody's at a different level of knowledge, and our speakers and things can aim their information at those different levels. And afterwards, once the talk's finished or the presentation's done, there's your opportunity as well to go up and actually approach the person with your specific questions. So, whereas, you know, online you can't. You can do that in the comments, but, you know, you may not know, but the person standing next to such and such may have the answer you need. Yeah.
And when it's a comment, everyone sort of has a similar level of authority. You can't really understand if they actually know what they're talking about. Or not until you do your own.
That's right. Yeah. And people can be. It can be working for them in their fish room, and that's like with the royal whiptails. You know, breeding those, it's working for me, but somebody could be struggling significantly. And, you know, I'm struggling with gold laser cories. there's different water parameters. Your local water could be different to somebody else's.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
things, frequency of water change or anything can be, you know, we might be keeping the fish, but are we keeping them to their full potential? Who knows?
So there you go, guys. That was Brett's Fish Room. As I mentioned off the top, super good variety, crazy unique species in here. Yeah, really impressed by what you've assembled here, Brett. Well done. Thanks again for having us in here, and all the best with it.
No worries, mate. Thanks for coming in, and hope you all enjoyed it.
Perfect. If you like the video, it always helps me out to smash like, hit subscribe, and all that fun stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.